The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com. Let me ask you about United Wrestling now, because that's probably the place in 2023 where I've seen you perform the most. And, you know, I've just got to say kind of one name, and that's Chimera. And I think you had 3 Match of the Year contender matches last year for United Wrestling. I think the first one was in about February. The next one was in, I think, when was it? Sometime in the summertime, maybe August, September, and then you had your final one at their Monster Bash 2 show in October. 3 tremendous matches, but not just 3 tremendous Match of the Year contenders, but what many people and certainly United fans are calling feud of the year. And certainly in my book, I think I've said to many people, it was my feud of the year for sure. But you know, tell us a little bit about getting involved with United Wrestling, because was your first match against Kira last February?
Yeah. So
go on, tell me about it.
I'm a bastard for not checking my emails. That's one thing that I've learned since this experience, to regularly check emails. So I'd reached out to United. I'd said that I loved the product. I loved the fact that they were teaming up with a brewery, the Tap Social.
Yeah.
It felt very much up my street. It felt very punk rock. It felt very DIY. It felt very sort of hardcore scene. Do everything yourself and build it from the ground up, and that's the sort of scene that, you know, I grew up in. I thrive in musically, wrestling, whatever you want to talk about. So I received an email from United, I think maybe 3 or 4 days before the show where Kira was meant to wrestle Aluna Blue. And they'd reached out to me a few days before and asked me if I was available to go and take the slot of Aluna Blue. And me being me, hadn't checked my emails, hadn't had a look, and I think it was only maybe 2 days before the show that I checked and was like, "Oh shit, yeah, absolutely! Like, if the spot's still there, I will take it. I'll bite your hand off for it. Absolutely, I want to be there." I'd seen some of the stuff that Kira had done coming out of COVID, and was super, super impressed. I think me and Kira had a little bit of a chat sort of in the past about sort of mental health and things like that, and mental health within sports and mental health within wrestling. So we had a little bit of a rapport, but it wasn't until sort of turning up and meeting her properly and then wrestling her to realise what a badass she was. Like, Kira is a hell of a lass. Like, she hits hard. She means everything that she says. And I don't know. I think there's something aggressive about the French accent, especially when you've got Kira shouting in your face. And it's I feel like it unlocked something inside me, and we gave as good as we got. But it was my first experience in intergender. I know some people think that's a dirty word, but I think the more we sort of move forward and the more we progress as a sport, as a performance, the more doors we'll see open for, you know, once we step between the ropes, people need to realise that we're all wrestlers, we're all professionals.
Yeah. But, give us a bit of insight into your journey with United and Scotty Rawk in particular, because I think your feud with his has to go down as possibly the greatest feud in United Wrestling history, and maybe yours as well.
Oh, definitely mine. Like,
yeah,
this story, this feud, this everything about it. I'm just so emotional each time I think about it, and I could talk about it for 3 hours. So don't get me started.
for as long as you want, for as long as you need to.
No, seriously, like just the first match, I was very actually, you know what, like, before the first match, I was meant to wrestle against Aluna Blue for a 4th count anywhere. So it was already meant to be a big match for me that night. But Aluna apparently got injured the day before. And so and so the promoter told me, look, Aluna is not available, but we have a replacement and it's going to be Scotty Rawk. And I was like, what? Okay. You sure? But yeah.
Did you know?
Cool.
Did you know much about Scotty before that announcement was made? Was you aware of what sort of a talent he was when you were first told that by the promoter?
I knew, but yeah, I knew him. Yeah,
You knew.
I
You knew.
knew. I met
Please continue.
him before at TNT actually.
Yeah.
And and yeah, I was like, oh my god, like first of all, I didn't do many intergender matches in my life, and so I was like, okay, that's gonna be a challenge. I want to do a lot of, I mean, I love intergender matches, and I am asking for it, but I didn't imagine it coming so soon, like that, like on the spot. So I was very stressed, but very like super excited. I remember being at WrestleForce the day of the where when the promoter told me that, and I was telling everyone, you know what, I'm gonna wrestle Scotty Rawk tomorrow. Can you believe that? Can you believe? And I was super excited.
Shall I tell you something pretty cool? A cool fact, and I like doing this on Wrestling with Johners. But that first match between yourself and Kira Chimera happened a year ago today.
No.
A year ago today. 12th of February 2023. And I mean, I watched that first match back yesterday in preparation for this, and it was pretty cool. I think she came out first, if I'm not mistaken. You came out second, and you pointed across the ring and said it's like that Spider-Man meme.
Yeah,
because but I think just there straight away, you knew it, the fans knew it, Kira knew it, the chemistry between the two of you in that first match and the subsequent matches, the second and the third match. But, you know, the chemistry between the two of you, I think, was evident from that very first second before the bell even rang. And you must have felt it as well.
Yeah, completely. And as you say, it was a hell of a story spread across 3 shows, spread across months and months of build, months and months of sort of trash talk, and as I say, hitting each other as hard as we could and hoping to God that the next person wouldn't get up, you know what I mean? So it was really sort of waiting for someone else to yield and call it and just lay down and just call it quits. But every time I hit Kira would hit me harder. I'd hit her harder. It really was like a battle of willpower, mental as well as physical.
Anyway, the match happened, and I remember coming backstage and being like, oh my god, what just happened? It was insane. It was magical. It was, wow, maybe the best match of my whole career. And everyone was like, wow, that was amazing. That was the match of the night. Already the match of the year, that's for sure. And all the people on social media, I was there. I saw that. So proud of having been that they could say that they've been there. And I couldn't believe what was happening. And I was like, I just want more of it. I just want to like wrestle him again because I've learned so much that night. And like we sort of met backstage, obviously before the match, and we were like, mate, we are like the same. Like we are looking like each other. Like what the fuck is happening? We could be a tag. And I mean, we are now. I mean, 8 months later or something like that.
Yeah.
We decided to.
But then speaking to Kira, obviously, post those 3 matches where we decided to come together and form a tag team, I didn't quite realise how much those matches had meant to Kira. So speaking, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that Kira had kind of reached a point where she'd almost given up on wrestling. She was really sort of downhearted on the scene, on herself, and was ready to call it quits and be like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe the British wrestling scene isn't really where I belong. And it wasn't, as I say, until these are her words, until Wrestling Me, that she was like, you know what, I am meant to be here, and Scotty's brought the best out of me, and I think we bring really good shit out of each other. So it was quite emotional to receive those messages, read them, and be like, oh, like, not only is this, I guess, a work colleague, but like an actual friendship, and we've created some kind of like mental, emotional bond, and also the bond of being tied together by a chain, the bond of hitting each other harder than we'd ever been hit before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had Kira on the show just a few months ago, back in November, after the chain match, and you know, we spoke about after each of them 3 matches. I was upstairs backstage, and she was very, very emotional, and she said she'd never felt like that. She'd never cried after a match, except for the matches she had with you, because they meant so much to her. She even cried during our interview on Wrestling with Johners, because that's how much that their matches, that feud, that partnership, and that kind of bondship with yourself meant to her. I've got to say, the chemistry between you two as well, and certainly in you know, the first, second, third match, and you probably felt this from the very first match, but the chemistry between you two is just off the charts. And you know, you both like to strike hard and hit hard and give punishment, and you love to take the punishment from one another as well. And that's obviously something that you must have realized very early on, and especially as the series of matches progressed. But the chemistry between you two was just off the charts.
Yeah. I mean, we realized it at the first match. We came backstage, and it was like, that was something. And yeah, like it just grew, as because of course the year has I mean, we just sort of met for the first match, and then the second match happened, and we were like, wow. We came backstage, and people were like, wow, like, you did even better. How was that possible? And I remember crying after that second match. I was so scared as well of the second match, because I was like, okay, the first one was good, but maybe it was just a fluke. I was extremely scared, and then I came backstage. I was so relieved, and I was like, wow, I won the match. But also, fuck me, like, this chemistry is unique, and I've never had a chemistry like that with anyone in a wrestling match. So yeah, doing the one with the chain was very, very challenging. We I mean, I think it kind of proved the chemistry we have.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I would have never done a chain match with anyone else than Scotty, because this kind of thing, you need to trust your opponent. You literally go to hell and back with that kind of stipulation, you see. So it was really like a proof of how much I trust him, and how much he trusts me as well. Like, and I hope we show that to the crowd. I think we did. That was something as well.
But I mean, you alluded to it there, the chain match, the third and final match. You were all square at 1 match apiece, and then the deciding match was at United's Halloween show at the back end of October last year. I've got a video now. This is from my vantage point, but just take a look at this. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say to that. And when it happened, I thought, is Scotty Rawk broken? Is he okay? And the look on your face was probably asking the same questions. But I know that was a highly competitive match. You probably, discussed that spot before the match. But when it happens, what was going through your mind?
Is he dead?
Yeah,
Is he dead?
he's a
I
crazy mofo.
I killed my friend. And if you look, I have footage on my socials where the camera is really on my face, and you see me cry. You literally see me cry. Like that was a turning point. That's literally a turning point towards, okay, I've gone too far now. I realized that I actually love that guy. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to be hurt. I don't want to hurt him. I need to finish that this feud, this story has to finish with a pin, not someone being dead on the mat. And I remember people telling me, pin him, just pin him. And no, it couldn't finish like that. So yeah, crazy man.
Yeah, and what a match! And I think that was the perfect way to cap off that series of matches between the two of you. And what it did was, after that match, there you are. And I brought these photos up earlier. He hands you your bat, even gets down on one knee to present it to you, and he told you that you had gained his respect. And from that moment forward, the DOGZ Bollocks were born. The DOGZ Bollocks were born. We had a really fun, very passionate backstage interview. And Scotty, of course, put you over massively. But now, when I spoke to Kira on the show in November, she legit told me she thought she'd killed you. She thought that Scotty Rawk was a goner. But I mean, tell us a bit about that spot. Obviously, I'm guessing that you discussed it before the match, but actually executing it, was it different to you imagined?
Just watching it back, knowing how much it sucked, hearing the noise. What a stupid lad I was.
That's what adrenaline does to you, man. But it's there for the taking, isn't it? It's there for the taking.
Yeah.
That balcony.
But like I say, it got to the point within the match where we'd kick the shit out of each other, and like, pardon my French, but honestly, we took each other to the limits every single time we stepped across that ring from each other, and that match was something else. I'd never had a chain match before. I'd say it's one of the biggest sort of feuds that I'd experienced in my career. It really felt like a big deal grudge match. So the harder I was hitting her, I was really bringing it to her, and she just wasn't staying down. So I knew I had to scale things up. I knew I had to go hard or go home. You know what I mean? So as I'm climbing up there, obviously my intention is she's not staying down from what I'm bringing to her. So I've got to go big. I've got to go big. This is my exclamation point. And if this lands, Kira's done. And obviously, from that angle, it took me just too long to get up onto that balcony for Kira to work her way back up to her feet, see me up there, and the cogs start turning. I felt the tension on the chain, and I was like, "Oh man, I've messed up here." And then obviously the big pull, I come crashing down, and honestly, it's one that I felt for a while.
I mean, you landed pretty perfectly, to be honest with you, But I don't think many people would volunteer to take that sort of bump.
No, there's no two ways about it. It was a you're coming down, and I was like, oh God.
And obviously, it makes sense. You mentioned earlier that the two of you look similar, have similar styles, have similar passions, similar, fight and determination. So it only makes sense that after that war, that battle that the two of you have been through, it just makes sense for the two of you to come together, to join as a team, as a tag team, and you will be the DOGZ Bollocks in United Wrestling going forward. And it just makes sense, doesn't it? What a perfect team between the two of you. I don't think anybody could have put two individuals together to make any more of a perfect team.
I mean, we kind of knew since the day we actually met and united that this was special, that we had to do something out of this. And then the chemistry we had and everything that came to that just make us confirm that obviously we have to do something. If we make people feel so much emotions watching us and telling us that we have chemistry, how is it going to be once we are actually together fighting together, like literally together against other people? And obviously it's not just a team we want to have at United, it's literally a team we want to have everywhere in the world. We are an actual real team. It's not just a story. It's two people who met each other and literally became brother and sister. At this point, this is literally just that. And I'm so grateful for it, and I really want to like fight with my friend, like I want to fight beside him now and everywhere.
I think you could take this tag team and put it in any promotion anywhere around the world. I think it just absolutely works. And we're looking ahead to United's next show. I think it's called Seasons Beatings, December the 10th. I'll be there. And I've got to be honest, I'm a fan of the Odyssey, but that match all day long is just going to be a show stealer. It's going to be a banger. And tag team wrestling is my jam. So watching those two teams in a tag match let's bring it up again, but for the United Tag Team Championship. So much on the line. And I've got to say, I think it's going to be the Odyssey's hardest match that they've had in 7 or 8 reigns now, 7 or 8 title defenses. How do you see that one going?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous. Because I trust us, I trust Scotty, I trust the DOGZ Bollocks.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous because first of all, I've never been a tag wrestler. I've always refused, and I've had a lot of opportunities, but I've always refused to be tagging with anyone, like a serious thing. I've always thought I am too independent for that. I can't do it. But with Scotty, it's just a natural kind of, of course, let's do it.
Perfect.
Of course, it's perfect. It's just, of course. So it's not my first tag match, but almost, and it will be our first tag match together. So it will really, really test us, really confirm if yes or no we are actually the DOGZ Bollocks. But I'm sure we are. And on the top of all of that, there's a championship. And we're talking about a tag team who's been together for a very long time. So they do have tag chemistry, for sure. They've been running at United as champion for a month as well. And as you said, I think they won 6 times.
It's a fair, I think. Let's see, about 6 or 7 matches they've been successful as a team in United, so they're really on a tear now for sure.
Yeah, so that's a huge challenge, and I think this is a good way to test ourselves. I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it, but I'm nervous. I think that's good nerves. That's good nerves.
Good nerves, exciting nerves as well. United Wrestling are actually watching us now, and they've sent through this little message. It's going to be the main event. It's going to be the main event. So
Yes.
I don't know if that kind of makes you even more nervous, but thank you, United Wrestling.
Thank you, listeners.
But I mean, that's really, really cool. And we did have a question that came through from another viewer. We've got Richie watching us live via YouTube. Who thought of the name, the DOGZ Bollocks? So quite a unique name for a tag team. But to be honest with you, it suits the pairing, I suppose. Certainly with that punk vibe, that punk edge. So kind of who came up with it, and what was the idea behind the DOGZ Bollocks?
There's an actual story about it. It's Scotty who came up with it. He actually thought about the Sex Pistols, and he wanted like a Sex Pistols vibe. So he said, yeah, so I can say that. I mean, sorry, what about we do that? And actually, he even, if you look at his promo after our first match in February, I did a promo in the ring, and then he replied. And in his promo, he said that he's the DOGZ Bollocks already. So that's a little wink, to it. And also, for the story, when he messaged me about that, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then, because, I'm French, I don't know what the DOGZ Bollocks mean. And I was like, but why the dogs, though? I said that to myself. I asked my partner, why the dogs though? Why not like, I don't know, the cat, the lion, the tiger, whatever. And obviously that was very funny. But yeah, it comes from Scotty.
We've got some strange sayings over here. We've got some strange sayings over here in the UK. It makes sense to us Brits, but we've got some strange sayings for sure. We got Danny Williams watching us live via Facebook. Now his name won't come up, but I've checked on Facebook. Danny Williams says, few people had a better 2023 than Scotty Rawk. What a treat watching Scotty at United. I think you may have already answered this, but he's asking your favourite memory of last year down in Oxford for United.
I'm glad you've asked favourite memory and not favourite match. I think my favourite memory, my favourite moment was coming to the ring with Kira by my side for the first time. Obviously, the feud that had been built, the way that we'd like the sort of the battles we'd had in that ring, in that venue. Tap Social in Oxford, I think now will hold a very, very special place in my heart. The birthplace of the DOGZ Bollocks. And
let's see where I am. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up was at the last two shows when you've match number 2 against Scotty and match number 3 against Scotty, that chain match, and you mentioned this earlier, but you came back and you were very emotional. You could, there were tears, there was raw emotion, and I think possibly because you knew that the match was special against a very special opponent and the occasion was very special, but you clearly kind of very passionate and wear your heart on your sleeve. But was it just those 2 matches that really got to you emotionally?
I very rarely cry after a match. I cry like tears of joy, like that happens barely ever. I think those 2 matches and the day I won that Rick's title. I think that's the 3 times I've ever cried after a match. So Scotty must think that I keep crying all the time. He must think, oh, that's normal. That's just her thing. But no, Scotty, if you look, if you watch that, no, I'm not like that. Okay.
There we go. Well, we hope that there's more tears, but tears of joy after the 2 of you are successful on December the 10th at Seasons Beatings. And United sent us one more message, not to add any extra pressure, but the Odyssey are currently 9-0. So either they go 10-0 if they win that match on December the 10th, or you break the streak and it goes 9-1.
You know what Tukase means?
Please tell me, because I was going to ask, but please tell me.
It means break everything. So I'm gonna break that streak. If there's one person who can break anyone's streak, this is me.
The tag name that me and Kira decided on being the DOGZ BOLLOX, actually came from one of their shows. So they have a show called the Mutts Nuts.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, we can spin off that. So it's a very, very united sort of influenced tag that me and Kira have because of the backstory that we have at that promotion. So yeah, I think my favorite memory would be coming to the ring with Kira that first time through the bar, and then walking away the united now world tag team champions.
Absolutely.